Hello class, welcome to our channel GNP Educare. Today we are going to start the second part of the PVC's training where we are going to learn solar photovoltaic system or what are different types of solar photovoltaic system, right? So first we need to know what are different types so that we can understand what are the components required for it, and then we can thought of how to design the same. So first let us learn what are the different types of solar photovoltaic system. So there are basically a solar photovoltaic system can be broadly classified into two types. One is the grid type, in which the solar system is connected with the existing electricity grid, and the next is the off grid, where it is basically working as a distributed generation system, is just like a generator. Okay, so the if we are going for narrow classification, off grid can be again subdivided into three parts. First, the off grid without battery. That means we are just using the solar system in the daytime. When there is solar sunlight, we can switch on our DC appliances. It will only work for DC appliances only in the daytime when solar sunlight is present. Next is off grid with battery storage for DC appliances. That means we are using a solar panel or a multiple solar panel array and connecting it with battery, and from battery we are taking it to our DC grid. So all the appliances we're using in the house, whether it be fan, it be light, everything will be running through DC current. So it will be DC only appliances. Here we are not converting it to AC. So in such cases we need to change it to DC appliances, or we can buy separate DC appliances like it is done for the solar home lighting system for smaller appliances, right? The next is off grid with battery storage for both AC and DC. What we do in this case, we take the same solar panel, then we connected the same to your inverter where the DC is converted to AC. It is again connected to the battery where the DC voltage is stored. So in case of like where we are using the AC appliances, from inverter the connection is made to the AC appliances, where we are converting it and basically giving supply to the AC appliances, and for DC we can take the direct supply from the battery. So here we are using an off grid with a battery storage for both AC and DC, but in this case we would require an inverter. Next, as we see, the another part is the grid tied, which is basically connected to the grid. Grid tied is without grid tied can be used in two patterns. One is without battery, one is with battery. Without battery means we are using a solar inverter connecting to a solar panel, connecting to an inverter and putting it to the grid. So whenever the grid electricity would be there, our system will operate. So in the daytime, let's say it has generated 10 units. So it will push the 10 units to the grid, and throughout the day, let's say we have taken 12 units. So we only need to pay for 2 units of electricity. This is called as a grid tied without battery system. Here our grid is basically acting as a battery storage. Next is the grid tied with battery storage. What we are doing is that we are using the same as the off grid system, but here we are connecting it with the grid. So whenever in case of grid tied without battery, whenever the grid fails or there is load shedding in the grid, our battery won't be operated, but like our system would be shut down. But in case of grid tied with battery storage, what happens whenever the grid is there is an outage in the grid, or there is load shedding, the battery will come into play and it will supply the source voltage to the inverter, and inverter will give the generation. This type of system is called as the hybrid system, right? It is called as a hybrid system. The next is the basic physics of the solar photovoltaic system, which we will learn through a video in this due course. But first let us learn these five types, how we can do the SLD. SLD is the last class we done in AutoCAD. So how we can do a single line diagram for all these five types of systems, so that we can understand what are the exact components required for the designing part. The first system that we are discussing is basically, this is my solar panel. We are connecting it to a charge controller. then to a battery, and lastly to the load. Load can be any type of load, but that should be DC. AC load won't work here. That means this, in this system only it will work when there is sunlight, otherwise it won't work. Next is the off-grid system. The only changes here is we are using a battery for storage. Like this is where we are using battery in the first system. This is not there. This battery won't be there in the first system. It would be there in the second system. Clear? This is the basic difference between the first and the second system. If we are talking about the third system, here we are adding a inverter. So this is for the DC load. Here we are adding an inverter where we are converting, this is our inverter, so we are converting it also for AC load. So we are using it for both DC and AC loads. And next is grid tied without battery. That means in this case, let me clear it, just hold on. In the next case, what we are doing, we are using a solar panel. We are connecting it with a battery. Sorry, an inverter. Inverter to our grid. What does grid means? Grid is basically the national grid or our electricity meter. We connect it to an electricity meter. So this is our grid tied system. So we are tying it with grid, but this has an advantage. Whenever there is no supply from the grid, this inverter will be switched off.
What do we believe are the...
Just hold on. Chandra Prakash, everyone please be careful that your microphone is not switched on. It will disturb the class. So if by any chance the grid is switched off or there is no current from the grid, this inverter will be tripped or switched off. So there won't be any current. This is the basic disadvantage of a on-grid system. Now, but what is the advantage? Here we are using this grid as our storage device. That means the cost of battery here is 0. So we are saving on the battery part. So in cost wise, grid tied is much more effective than an off-grid system. So here obviously there are multiple protection systems that we will discuss later on with the class as the class progresses. This is just for the brief. Now if you are using the combination of both, that is combination of a grid tied and an off-grid system, that is we are using a solar system, we are using a charge controller, we are using a battery and connected it to the load, DC load. Again we are using a inverter and connecting it to the AC load or directly to grid. This type of system is called as hybrid system. This is a hybrid system. What does a hybrid system means? That is, whenever there is electricity, the electricity is going to flow through this path. That is, we are using a grid connected system whenever there is electricity. But whenever the grid is down, the electricity will be flowing through the path B, not the path A. So it is using as an off-grid system. So the combination of both is called as a hybrid system. What is the basic difference between off-grid and a hybrid system? The difference is, in case of off-grid, we are not connected to the grid. That's why the battery amount or the quantity of battery required is much more. In case of hybrid, the quantity of battery required is much less, only for the time when there is electricity cut out. I hope everyone is clear. So if you guys have any question, you can write it on the chat box. Next, how a photovoltaic system work. Everyone knows it's basically a PN junction time, so I'm not going to waste time here. We use basically a semiconductor or PN junction device to convert the photovoltaic or the photon energy of the sun to electricity, to generate electricity by using the valence shell. So we are not going to, we are just going to see a video which is going to explain the same, but we are not going to discuss it much more. Just hold on, I am opening the video. Just for a brief, how a solar panel works. This is how basically a solar cell is formed. A substrate layer, a back contact grid. Back contact grid is basically the grid through which electricity is basically being flown. Next is the p-type silicon or the p-type semiconductor, basically doped, and next one is the n-type semiconductor sandwich, which we call as a p-n junction diode, and again above would be a contact grid, which is called as a front contact grid. Last, the anti-reflecting coating, followed by a toughened glass. Toughened glass is given just to protect the cell. Now let us see how does a PN junction diode generate electricity. Everyone knows it, but just to brush it up. So guys, from this video we can see how does a solar cell generates electricity from photon energy. What is this, basically what is a solar cell? A single component is called as a solar cell. So when we basically connect these cells in terms of series and parallel, it is called as solar modules. Multiple modules is called as an array, which is basically being used in a solar plant. So we are going to know how does we design an array in our designing part. Single solar cell, as we said, is basically nothing but a PN junction diode, and solar cells have three types. One is monocrystalline in terms of formation. If we form it from a single crystal, single semiconductor crystal, it is called as monocrystalline. From multiple is called as a polycrystalline, where you can like see the differences. Like in case of polycrystalline, there will be patches. If you see it very nearly to a polycrystalline cell, you will see patches. In case of like as monocrystalline, will have a uniformity. I'm just showing you the picture. In this picture, in the right hand side, the first one is the monocrystalline and the second one is the polycrystalline. So you can see in polycrystalline there are basically patches, which signifies that it is being produced from different crystals. So a combination of crystals is made to produce this PN junction diode. Except that we have thin film solar, we have multiple new solar HIT, we have that is basically being manufactured by Panasonic. We are not going to discuss that. So we are going to discuss the basic three types: monocrystalline, polycrystalline, and the thin film. Thin film is nothing but it has the least efficiency, but yes, it is used for the flexibility purpose, like for making solar caps or for any like green buildings, for connecting it to the green buildings. It is thin film technology is basically being used. Though green building modules are called as BIPV, building integrated photovoltaic panels. As we say, the types of solar panel, one is we are producing it from a crystal, so it's called a crystalline type, divided into two, mono and poly, where monocrystalline has the highest efficiency obviously the high price, and polycrystalline has lesser than mono, a trade-off price as a mediatory price. That's why it is used most. And the next type is thin films. So the types is written CIGS, CDT, just cadmium, tellurium. There are different types by which the thin film is made. So thin film has the least solar efficiency and the least cost. Now, as we see, this is a complete solar system. What does a complete solar system mean? That means it contains that we are calling about a hybrid system. It is just this is a hybrid system. So what does we have here? If you can see, you have the PV modules. Next is the disconnect overcurrent. That is a protection device. Because if there is any overcurrent, any fault in the module, the charge controller will be directly damaged. To stop the damage on charge controller, we use a overcurrent disconnect switch. What is the use of a charge control? We will discuss in the further course. Next, from the charge controller, we can use it to the battery. Before battery, another protection, that is overcurrent disconnect. So by any chance, if the charge controller fails, battery is basically not being given overcurrent and it might like blow off. So that's why just to save it, we use the overcurrent disconnect switch before battery 2, or we call it as a battery disconnect switch. This is the DC part. Now if you are going to the direct part, we can say PV modules disconnect charge controller, low voltage disconnect to DC load. If we are talking about the array direct is the first row line. Our battery system is the first 3 components followed by the battery line, and your AC, or you can say the on-grid, is the first 4 components and the next 4 lines. Through inverted is going to AC load. You can give it to a AC load, or you can also directly connect the same to your grid to make it grid tied. So this is the complete PV system. Combination of all the system is put here. Guys, if you are clear, if you have any questions, you can ask me. If not, I will proceed. Okay. Next, we have already discussed how the solar photovoltaic works. There is no point. Yes, that we were discussing. The single cell or single PN junction diode is called as a solar cell, which is called as a building block. Next, multiple connected in series and parallel is called as modules. Series increases the voltage and parallel increases the current. So a combination of cell in series and parallel is called as a module, a single module. A module can be from 3 watt till nowadays it has been generated 500 watt. A single module is giving 500 watt. Not all the companies is basically manufacturing the same. Yes, Waaree have a 500 watt PV module. Multiple modules connected is called as a panel, which we see or which we generally procure. That is called as a solar panel. Multiple panels connected in series or parallel, depending upon the requirement, is called as an array. From panel is what we are procuring from the manufacturer. Array is what we are designing and ultimately installing. Fine. So if we see, one silicon solar cell produces near about 0.55 to 0.6 volts. So 36 cells in this manner, if we connect it to, will give 12 volt panel, which is enough to charge a battery. So we need 36 cells connected to get a battery, 36 cells connected in series to get a panel which would charge a battery. In the right hand side, you can see a curve which is called as the IV curve, which is the basic curve of a solar panel. What does it show? It shows ISC, VOC, IMP, VMP and Pmax. What does that mean? ISC is short circuit current, that is, in any fault case, that is the maximum current that a panel can produce. That is called as the short circuit current. The maximum current that a panel can produce is called as short circuit current. Next is VOC, or called as an open circuit voltage. It is the maximum voltage that a module or that a panel can generate at a particular moment. Like above this, it can't generate. So this is a maximum voltage. IMP and VMP are basically maximum power current or maximum voltage current. What does that mean? It is whenever we are using it for generating electricity, this is the current which it generally generates, the current and the voltage capacity. It determines that IMP and VMP, and Pmax is nothing but as a multiplication of IMP and VMP. So if you take any solar module IV curve from internet, you can see if you are multiplying IMP and VMP, we are going to get Pmax. Guys, everyone, please note it down very carefully, because these are the terms we are going to require in PVSys design. Why? If the manufacturer is there in your PVSys already, that is there in the database, we will only select the panel, the manufacturer name and the capacity of the panel. But if it is not there, we need to check the IV curve and need to put these values. So we need to understand these values very carefully. We need to put these values in the database, and then we can select this particular module. Nowadays, okay, just hold on. Okay, Vabi, I'm going to explain it again. Just hold on. Nowadays, what we can do is that like when we are designing it, if we don't want to check the IV curve and put it ourselves, we can ask .PAN. I'm writing it for you guys. Just hold on. Let me clear it. If you want, you can ask for .PAN. Sorry, PAN. Again mentioning .PAN file from the manufacturer. If the particular file .PAN file is basically given by the manufacturer, you can input the PAN file directly to the database. You need not to put any IV curve values. You can directly put the PAN curve. If you are not getting it, you can ask for the IV curve and you can put the values. I am again explaining these terms. IV curve is basically the main curve of a solar panel. What does an IV curve suggest? It suggests major 5 values, though it will also suggest another value, that is wattage. What is the capacity of the panel? The capacity of any panel will be mentioned in watt. It can be 3 watt, 250 watt, 330 watt, that will be mentioned. Except that these 5 main components we are going to require, 5 main terminologies. One is ISC, short circuit current. This is the highest amount of current that the panel can generate at any condition. Even if the panel is damaged, even if there is any leakage, this is the maximum current. So we need to design the protection system according to this ISC. Whenever we are going to start the designing part tomorrow, we are going to understand how we are going to design a protection system, because protection system design won't be there in the PVSys, right? In PVSys, we can take module, inverter, batteries and all. But you need to design a protection system to ensure that you design in your the whole system is protected. So for the designing part, we need to understand how we need to what should be the maximum current we need to design for its safety. So that value we are going to get from ISC. So the maximum current that can flow through the system is ISC. Next is VOC, open circuit voltage. This is the maximum voltage that the panel can produce, whatever be the condition. If it is damaged, if it is leakage, if there is any instantaneous current that is getting impulsive current, impulse we tell in electrical words. If there is any impulsive current there, even then the voltage, the maximum can be generated from any particular panel would be the VOC. IMP, VMP is the current or the voltage that the panel generally generates when it is in operating mode. So IMP and VMP is what we are getting in the output. IOCs and VOCs are the terms we are using it for our protection system designing. I hope now it's clear. IMP and VMP is we are getting as an output that will show in your simulation result. ISC, VOC is only used for the protection designing. Now, Pmax is nothing but the power is basically the multiplication of voltage and current. So Pmax is nothing but a multiplication of voltage and current. Coming to the next topic, we need to understand what is the basic type, what are the basic types of, like we can't put a solar system anywhere, right? Though it is not a part of your PVC system design, but it's obviously it's a part of a design. For ensuring the tilt angle in PVCs, we are putting the tilt and the azimuth angle directly, right? But from where does the tilt angle come? If we see it in any diagram, we can see this is how, if this is my ground, if I take this is my ground, this is my solar panel SP, right? So the angle, if we extend it, we can see this angle is called as the alpha, or in other terms as the tilt angle. So the angle of the solar panel to the ground is called as a tilt angle. Now, to ensuring this tilt angle, this panel is basically above a structure which is generally made up of HDGI, or we call it as a hot deep galvanized iron. The general structure is made up of HDGI or hot deep galvanized iron, and this structure basically determines the tilt angle. The tilt angle ensures that the sunlight, the photon energy that is basically incident on the solar panel, that should be at an angle of 90 degree. If it is perpendicular, the generation would be most, cause if I take the incident as the incidence as I of a solar, like sunlight incidence I am taking as I, it is directly proportional to VMP. More the incident, more will be the voltage. If we see a original curve, we can see that if at 8 am the voltage is less, if we go ahead and reach 9 am or 10 am, the voltage would be more. I would request Arijit to open the Shine monitor and show our real plant, like our real generation plant, so you can understand this point. Arijit, can you please share your screen? I am stopping my screen sharings. Let Arijit share it and then I will explain. Guys, everyone, I hope you can see Arijit's screen. If not, please mention. Arijit, I would request you please open the Shine monitor. This is how a Shine. Please enlarge so that we can see it. Okay. Let's just see. This is the basic. It's an original plant. And Arijit, can you please remove the Skype small button? Showing the Indrana's face. So can you please move it? Yeah, thank you. So you can see the name of the plant is a Joypur. It's a substation plant. It's a 15 kilowatt plant. Here, what we are seeing, what is the energy generation today? Just hold on. We are opening the plant. Okay. So from here we can see it's a GRAT 50 kilowatt plant. We can see what is the generation today, what is the monthly generation it has made, and what is the gain. That is in terms of what we have done, the amount of unit we have generated, multiply it with the unit rate. It can be 7 rupees, 8 rupees to get the total gain. And this system is converting what is the amount of carbon dioxide we have saved. So you can see carbon dioxide 16.6 ton it is saved. Coal 6.6 ton it is saved. Sulfur dioxide near about 500 kgs we have saved. So if you see the plant profile, you can see the generation has slowly started around 6 a.m. in the morning. With time, it is increasing. It has reached its peak near about 11:30 and 12. As we know, today is a cloudy day in West Bengal, and it's a plant in West Bengal. That's why generation is not above 20 kilowatt. But if we see the timing, you can understand from 6 a.m. the generation will start, and it has reached its peak to 12, which is what I am trying to explain. More the intensity, more would be the more the intensity, more would be the generation, right? So what we can say, I can show you yesterday's profile. Arijit, I would request you please open the yesterday's profile. For the same plant. Just, yeah, thank you. So you can see yesterday's profile. Yesterday the generation, due to cloudy, it was thunderstorm on the previous night, so generation has started from 9 a.m. reached maximum at near about 11. At 11, and due to cloudiness it has varied. Now we can see the monthly energy. Arijit, please show the monthly energy. Monthly energy. Okay, so this is the generation. You can see that on 21st the generation is less, being a cloudy day. So this is the generation that we can see. So more, like less cloudy, more sun, more incident ray, more will be the generation. So if we go by the experiment, Arjit, you can stop your screen sharing, please. So as we were explaining, guys, everyone can see my screen, right? If not, please mention on the chat box. Okay, so if we are talking about the tilt angle, we can see that this is the tilt angle we are talking about. Now, if experiment shows that, let's say, I'm just clearing the screen. Experiment shows that if, let's say, this is the sun and this is the sunlight, if it's 90, the voltage generation is maximum. If it's, let's say, not 90, let's say it is showing us 70 degrees, it would be lesser than, if it's V1, V2 would be lesser than V1. So just to ensure it, we need to maintain the tilt angle. In solar design, like in PV-CEST, we will only mention the tilt angle which is required, which is generally the latitude. For any system you are designing, let's say you are designing for Kolkata, the latitude will be 23, or India even, the latitude will be 23. If you are designing for Greece, you need to check the latitude of Greece from Google, and you need to put that latitude as the tilt angle. Clear? So in case of PV-CEST system design, we are putting the latitude as the tilt angle. So here you can see this is what the module structure is. Module structure can vary, because in case of module structures, if it's a fixed structure, that is which season it can't change. We know that in summer the sun is above, and in winter the sun is like not in the same angle. So we need to change the inclination. So if it's a fixed type, like if we can't change the inclination, it's called fixed type. For smaller plants, rooftop plants is okay, but from ground mounted plants, for
larger plants, the generation difference for such angle would be much. For 10 kilowatt, we can let it go, because if we are making a tilted angle mounting structure, it will cost more. So we can let it go. But in case of larger plants, let's say 10 megawatt, 100 megawatt, 150 megawatt, we can't let it go because the generation is much above. So in case we use trackers, you can see trackers. Trackers are nothing but it can be of two types: manual tracker or automatic trackers. In manual tracker, we need to ensure in summer our tilt angle is generally maintained as the latitude plus 15 degree. In winter, it is maintained as latitude minus 15 degrees. Whereas in case of automatic, we basically use our uh, motors, stepper motors or other motors where we input feedback signals and it automatically changes the angle of the module. That is called as an automatic tracking system. Again, tracking can be of two types. One, a tracking which is used for the monthly purpose or seasonal purpose is called as seasonal tracking. It is done only in summer and winter. If we are moving it from east to west, that is for daily tracking, we call it as a daily tracking. In our automatic tracking, if we have both the system, it is called as a two-axis tracking. If not, it is called as a single-axis tracking. Fine. So moving to the next part, you can see this is batteries in PV system. What is a battery? Battery, everyone knows, is a electrochemical storage device which is used for charging electricity. Like we are storing the DC electricity, we can take the DC electricity later on when it is required. When we can't generate, that is the usage of a batteries in a PV system. Now the next major question comes: what is a charge controller? Charge controller is something which we generally use to ensure that a battery is not overcharged or undercharged, right? To ensure the same, we use a component or a device which is called as a charge controller. It controls or ensures that the charge which is basically being fed, that is the current which is basically being fed to the battery, should be of a same voltage level. It should not vary. Because if it varies, there will be fluctuation and ultimately the battery would get damaged. Okay, before to go to these different types of charge controllers, let us see how does a charge controller work. Here we will see a video of basically Sukam, who has wonderfully described this charge controller. So the courtesy of this video will go to Sukam. Just so here you can see that this is a charge controller. Why? A basic system. You have a solar panel, we have a charge controller, we have a battery, we have a DC loads, a DC TV, a DC fan and a DC bulb, right? But if now the question comes, what would happen if we directly put the panel to the battery instead of putting a charge controller? So let's see. Now, if we are directly putting the battery without the charge controller, for this system, this would be the design. We don't have any charge controller, we're directly putting it to the batteries. So what would happen in this case? It's a 12-volt battery. For example, we are taking it and let's say we are taking a 12-volt panel for this design. Now, there is no charge controller in this system. So the maximum voltage that we were talking about, that the VMP of a 12-volt panel, if you take a VMP curve, you will see that the maximum solar voltage of a 12-volt panel is 17.5 voltage or more. So it is much more than the battery voltage. So it will be putting the whole voltage to this battery, right? So you can see battery will go for a high voltage and ultimately the battery would get damaged. Now, so you know, constantly putting the same voltage, the battery will ultimately get damaged. The temperature would increase, the battery won't be operating in the way it should be, and ultimately it's a waste. Even if the same thing happens, the direct voltage will go to the like our DC loads, like let's say the fan. Sometimes when the voltage is much more, the fan will rotate higher at higher speed. When the voltage is less, the fan will rotate at lower speed, and this voltage fluctuation will ultimately damage the DC loads too, the loads too. We can damage the DC loads too. This is how high voltage, more low voltage, it might not operate or operate at a very low speed. Now, what happens in case of without a charge controller in time of night? Day we have seen it might damage it. Night. In case of night, what you can see, we are showing two meters. One is a solar meter, another is a battery meter. Both is showing the voltages, right? In case of night, the solar meter has the lowest voltage because it is not generating anything. Lunar light just doesn't generate electricity. So the voltage is not zero, but more or less equivalent to zero. But the battery voltage is high, and we know that the current flows from a high voltage to a low voltage, or a high potential to a low potential. So obviously, battery will feed now voltage to your panel. So the battery discharging will start. Where charge controller comes into play. Charge controller ensuring that it is not giving load to the panel and it is giving their voltage of current to the DC load available. So even if the battery is discharging, it is discharging for good purpose. And again, when the solar sunlight comes, the battery is getting charged. Fine. So if we are talking about now, if we just brief both the points, solar charge controller is used in basic two reasons. One, to ensure that the battery is not getting over or under voltage so that it gets damaged at a lesser lifetime. Like a battery should at least stay for 5 to 7 years. But if by any chance we are not maintaining it, it would get destroyed in a much lesser lifetime. And in the night time, the solar battery discharge should not happen. It should only happen only to the DC load. Let us see and complete this video. It maintains a constant voltage and a constant current to feed to the battery, as I said, ensuring the lifespan of the battery. Because of efficient charging, DC loads remain protected. Fine. Now we won't come to this charge controller types, because charge controller is of two types. One is a PWM type and one is the MPPT type. So we are going to see another video which would explain the difference between these two types of charge controllers. Let's see. Again, the courtesy of the video goes to Sucam, because Sucam has made this video. So the courtesy would go to Sucam. Okay, so you can see we are using here what is a solar charge controller. We have already discussed, so no point. Charge controller ensures the battery and ultimately it is feeding directly to the, here we are showing it as a hybrid battery. So it's a Sucam inverter which is feeding to the grid, you can see, and the DC load. So the hybrid system we are talking, this is a basic configuration of a hybrid system. So let's proceed. There are two types of charge controller, as I have already said. One is the MPPT, or called as a maximum power point tracking. Please note it down. It would be very much required in your off-grid system designing through PVSys. So one is the MPPT, or the maximum power point tracking. Next is the PWM, or the pulse width modulation tracking. So first let's discuss MPPT, which is the most commonly used, and then PWM. We will see what's the basic difference between these two, MPPT and PWM. Name we have already learned, pulse width modulation. So it will only utilizes power of the solar panel and charge the battery. It won't use any brain to use it. But here, it's a smart charge controller, you can say. It extracts the maximum solar power and ultimately charges the battery efficiency. What is the difference in PWM? It won't track or find for any maximization, but in power MPPT type, it would ensure maximization. Efficiency is 70% round, if you can say the conversion efficiency. So for 100 watt solar panel, we are getting the output as 70 watt. 30 watt is a waste, so it's shown as a husband. It's a wastage. In case it's 96%, so you can see that we can get a 96 watt by using a 100 watt solar panel. So only 4 watt is getting. So difference is 26%. 26% in terms of efficiency. So you are getting 26 watt or 26 watt units of current more if you convert it in hour. Moreover, the battery charging time, if you can see, is much higher because we are getting 26 watt more. So in every hour we are getting 26 watt more to charge the battery than the PWM from the same panel. So if we say we have a cloudy day, we have only 4 hours of good sunlight, it might be enough for a battery to charge using a MPPT, but not might be enough by using PWM. Similarly, we are seeing an example. We are using a PWM using a 100 watt 12 volt panel, a 12 volt battery, a PWM charge controller for a hybrid system. Let's see. It's a 150 ampere hour 12 volt. So whenever we have started, like the generation is started from the panel, it is charging and it is, you can see the battery charging time, it is increasing as the day is increasing. Guys, just hold on. I just need to check one of the students I have missed. Just I'm joining the student. Just hold on. Part you have missed, we would be covering the same part. You will be sending you the video of the same part so that we can discuss it. Now, as we were discussing the PWM, in case we know power is voltage into current. So here our power is 100, our voltage is 17 volt. We have already learned from the IV curve, and our current is 5.8 amps. How we are getting the current? Just by dividing it. It's just formula. Now, in this case, if the voltage decreases, what will happen? The current would remain the same. So you can see the power would come to 70 watt. So 100 watt panel giving you a 70 watt, taking much more time to charge a battery that it should take, and 30 watt is a wastage. Now we are changing the same with a MPPT or a smart one. What's the benefits? Considering the same equation, we have 100 watt, 17 volt being the highest, we have 5.8. It is getting charged. So it's a boost charge. It's getting charged at a current of 8 amps. Now, why it is getting charged at a current of 8 amps? Let's say our voltage is decreased to 12 volt. In this case, what it is going to do is that it will keep the power as constant and ultimately pushing the voltage to 8, the current to 8 amps. Fine. So from here we can see that MPPT type charge controller charges a battery, charges it efficiently. So we have discussed, again just to precise, what are the work of a charge controller. A charge controller ensures that the battery is not getting damaged due to voltage fluctuation from the solar panel, and it also ensures that it doesn't get discharged to the panel in case of night time. Batteries we know already, we have discussed, is a storage. Battery is basically of two types. One is non-chargeable rechargeable batteries, which we generally use, and one is rechargeable batteries. It can be of multiple types. nickel, lithium ion, lead acid. Lead acid is the maximum battery that is in use till date. Nowadays, you can see the mobile batteries are much more smaller in sizes with a much more capacity. It is called as the lithium ion batteries. It's a dry type battery. This is not very much required. For designing purpose, inverter we have already discussed. Next come is a balance of system. If we divide what are the major components of designing, first is solar panel, inverter, battery. Except these three, everything comes under the balance of system or BOS. What does BOS means? BOS is nothing but it's a combination of the other components. For example, mounting hardware or what we call as a structure. Trackers, if it is there, it can be manual, or active means it can be automatic. Switches or circuit breakers, which is used for the protection device, we will learn how to design it. Wiring or the cables to ensure the flow of current, and last is protection and grounding, the lightning arrestor, because we will putting it in a rooftop or a open ground space. So we need a lighting arrestor to ensure that lighting doesn't hit to that particular module, particular array or the particular plant. So giving the protection system and giving a proper grounding. Solar inverter, different types not required. So just to ensure, this is the basic diagram or a typical layout of a solar home system or a rooftop system or a hybrid system, whatever you want to tell. It's basically a solar panel followed by a charge controller, inverter for AC load or a grid load, and a battery for the DC loads. If we use a grid connected system, we don't require the charge controller and the battery. It can directly feed to the inverter via protection system and then to the load. If it's a hybrid system, we require the combination of both.
Cover the different types of solar system, and the few parts that we have skipped will be covered in the advanced solar training course, which will be done after the completion of the solar system design course, where we are going to learn of each and every component in detail so that we can have an insight and in-depth knowledge of the basic solar and the advanced solar systems, and we can do more difficult designs. But for now on, we are going to move on and do the next part of how to basically install a solar system, so we can understand what are the parameters which we need to be careful while doing the installation, and what are the parameters that is required. Here we have learned what are the components we are required. In the next class we will learn what are the parameters we required for the solar system design, so that we can start the solar system designing in PVSys software. So next class we are going to cover what are the parameters we need to be carefully observed during the installation of solar plant, and ultimately which would be important criteria in the designing part of the PVSys. Okay. Uh, Here the few of the videos which have been used is from the SUCAM group. They have made the animated videos very good, and I have given you the link in the description box below, so you can go ahead and check that link, and in that link you will understand that uh, if you want, you can go for the like few of the other animated videos will be required in when we are going to discuss in the next advanced course, because here we are only covering the basic parts. So they have made very animated video, and the whole video courtesy of this animated video goes to SUCAM group. As with the efforts that we are going trying to give you the best of the knowledge in the solar system design, we would appreciate that you like, share and subscribe our channel, and hit the bell icon for further updates, and share this video to your friends, to your colleagues, so that more people can be benefited from this knowledge. Thank you class. So we'll see you tomorrow with the parameters of solar system design.